This is not the first time that she has spoken out against Trump. She voted to impeach him, that vote landing her on thin ice with her party before. But what is different now is few Republicans are speaking out in her defense. In fact, you have the top two Republicans in the House. They have made it clear that they want her out of party leadership. They are even endorsing other women to replace her. And that vote, Diane, could happen as early as next Wednesday. Diane?
Rachel Scott in Washington, thank you. And here's what we're watching in Washington today. At 1 p.m. Eastern, Energy Secretary.
Well, Little Miss Pundit here at ABC is so disturbed that the Republicans are trying to exercise their party from rhino douchebags like Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney, right? And she has the temerity to call Trump a liar. Imagine Liz Cheney, the daughter of maybe the greatest liar in the last 40 years in American politics, along with his alleged boss, Georgie Porgy Bush, King George III, who had the temerity the other day, the absolute audacity to talk about Trump doesn't represent his ideal of the Republican Party, that Trump doesn't tell the truth. This is the guy who is responsible for the deaths of over 500,000 innocent people, for the most part, in Iraq. I don't know how many thousands in Afghanistan. Certainly, he's not exempt from the guilt of all the American soldiers wounded and killed. And he stood there at the rubble pile in New York at Ground Zero and said, the people that did this are going to hear from us soon. Well, those people were the Saudi Arabians. There were some killers from Egypt. And, of course, the little club hiding out in caves from Afghanistan who were Saudis. They were Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda means Arab, not Indo-European Afghanis. The third part of the triumvirate of evil was Iran. What'd we do? We bombed Iraq into the Stone Age. That's tantamount to declaring war on Japan and then turning around and bombing China, because they are Asians and eat rice too. That would have been the logic in FDR's time. But George Bush is painting the faces of the dead. That's what he does to make amends. Imagine that. Imagine someone killed your kid, and they come back to you and they say, yeah, but I painted a picture of him. And the left-wing media, oh, they love George Bush now. They love George Bush now. And guys like me who left blood on the floor defending him in those days, thinking that he was going to do the right thing. And man, did he bamboozle us. And then there's the other clown, Hunter College and CCNY, Colin Powell. Yeah, not West Point, right? How about that? Becomes head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It goes before the UN and lies out his you-know-what about WMD. And he called Trump a liar. See, Trump's a liar because he said we don't belong in these phony wars, killing people that have nothing to do with what happened. So Trump's the bad guy. And I love when I listen to my lefty friends. Trump wanted to end the war. What happened to all the lefties that hated war? Now they love Uncle Joe Biden, Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt, that'll set up a war anywhere in the world as long as he could get his franchise fees. And as long as the military industrialists and the crooked FBI will pay up the ladder, like with Obama. How many wars did Obama start? 7. But he got the Nobel Prize for Peace before he took office. If Obama throws out the opening pitch for the Washington Senators, he would have been given the Cy Young. So what do you do when you live in a country that's A, full of retards? And there's a lot of retarded people in this country, and I use the word literally. Retard means mentally deficient and slow. I love that's another thing liberals do. That's a terrible thing to say. Oh, that he's retarded? Yeah. Oh, you mean, how about, well, he's slow of faculties. Well, that's better. Isn't that great? Like a black guy. Don't call me a Negro, man. What does Negro mean? Black. What do I call you? I'm black. Oh, okay. Okay, as long as we got that sorted out. Meanwhile, have you ever heard a white guy say, hey, don't call me a white guy. Don't call me a honky or a Caucasian. And this is the kind of thing that happens. It's word war. It's word war. We used to say, guy has shell shock. Now he has PTSD. What does that mean? LGBTQTXYZ. Just throw a lot of numbers, letters, and don't account for anything. Like FBI, like CIA, right? Like AKA. Just throw. We love doing that. Throw letters out. And then we do stupid things with words. Today we had a terrible accident on the LIRR. Count the syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. LIRR. 5. How about this? Long Island Railroad. Same amount of syllables. But for some reason, if you use letters and expend the same amount of energy in syllable enunciation, in the retarded minds of people, you're being efficient. No, you're not. Using the term snafu is an efficiency. So when you hear some old lady, I don't know what happened. I think we hit a snafu. Well, Muriel, let me tell you what snafu stands for. Situation normal, all fucked up. How do you like that? No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Yeah, it's a military term. Like FUBAR. 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 What does FUBAR stand for? That would be fucked up beyond all recognition or reality, depending on who you spoke to in World War II. But people will go for the abbreviative letters, even if it's more or the same amount of syllables. I just use that as a metaphor for how stupid humanity is. Okay? Because really what it is, it's not about speaking efficiently. If people were concerned with speaking efficiently, they would say things more like, shut the fuck up. Say, but you can't talk like that. I've done it in sales meetings. Believe me, it was the only modality. And actually works, by the way. But God help us if we start using things that make sense and get things done because of feelings that make no sense. And I'm psychobabbling here, but we are in the age of mendacity. Lying is an art form. And so that's what this camouflaging, abbreviatory alphabet soup is about. Because it's putting a mask on. See, that's why these liberals, wear your mask. They want everybody at a masquerade. Because they're liars. You can't spell liberal without L-I-A-R. I've said that for 40 years. I never heard anyone else say that before me. You cannot spell liberal without L-I-A-R. They're incessant, volcanic liars about everything. Hey, man, peace and love. You know what they were out? A piece of ass. And they wanted to copulate with any woman they could get their high hands on. Their polluted, chemically polluted hands on. And if you interceded or intersected with any one of those freaks in those days between their drugs or their prostitutive, you see how quick they threw a punch. And believe me, I was there. I had the joy of beating the hell out of a few of them. And I always let them throw the first punch in the name of peace and love. So this ain't getting better, people. Now it's industrial. It used to be a few hippies communing on some pasture in some remote place, or maybe going to Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco or to the Village in New York, but they kept to themselves. Now they're running half the government. Okay? These were the people who used to sing songs about sign everywhere, a sign. Breaking up the scenery and blowing my mind. Do this, don't do that, can't you read the sign? Remember? Now they're in the sign-making business. Put your mask on. Don't do this, don't do that. And nobody calls out their psychopathy. Nobody. Nobody says, how do you go through the world this full of shit every minute of your existence? Chucky Schumer, who I saw at Yankee Stadium getting out of a limo in 2001, I believe. Yeah, it's 2001 at the World Series, and we had just invested the 10th Mountain Division in Afghanistan, and Chucky felt compelled to get out of his limo with his cell phone to his ear and pumped his little fist in the air. The 10th Mountain Division just landed in Afghanistan. Yeah, like he wanted to, he needed to get the adulation of the Yankee fans going into Yankee Stadium. And I said, oh, what are you, a warmonger now, Chucky? And two guys that were with me, one a New York City cop, the other a state trooper, real couple of heroes. Once I started to assail Chucky Schumer, my two friends disappeared like a vapor. Like a vapor. Because, see, I didn't realize, like I do today, that they're part of the system. You know, all these heroes, all these cops that want to, thank you for your service. Fuck you. You got paid. You got your fat pension. You didn't serve nobody but yourself. You're a mercenary at best. And save the very few really good cops who really do give a crap. Most of them are part of this pollutive system. They defend it. They defend it. They protect guys like El Duce Cuomo and Bill Clinton while he's performing acts of sodomy on a 19-year-old intern. And I never had sexual relations with that woman. Not never. No. A couple weeks later, indeed I did have sex with that woman. Oh, did you really? Yeah. And you had fun with the cigar, right, Bill? What'd you do with that cigar? I gave it to Yes Sir You're a Fart in the Rose Garden. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that preceded 9/11, didn't it? It was funny right up until the time a bunch of fanatical Muslims read about it and decided it wasn't funny. But, you know, they always have their lying commentary stories of what really incited their wrath, right? They'll come up with a million lies, just like Hillary Clinton with Libya. It was a video. Yeah, a guy in California made a video. Really? Is that what did it? See? And there they all are, the Pelosi's, the Clintons, with their cadre of protective services. They tell you you can't have a gun. They tell you you have to suffer the indignation of assault from the rabble of urban scumbags. And if you're a white person, you incited it because of your whiteness. And I've never understood where somebody comes off calling anyone white, because that's like saying a Swede and a Sicilian are the same. It's like saying a Spaniard and an Englishman are the same. Or a German, okay, and a Scotsman are the same. They ain't the same. There's no such thing as a white person, okay? But when it comes to assigning guilt so the franchisees can get paid while they sell out their own progeny, that's okay. They did this forever in Europe, by the way. It's a classic European behavior. The kings, for instance, in Spain, would let the Moors, with their Islamic religion, come into Spain and murder hundreds of thousands of people. And they would turn around, the kings of Europe, taking their extortive pay from those imams and sultans, and they would turn around and tell their people that they were supposed to rule. Don't be prejudiced. Don't be a xenophobe. They're just like you. They're telling you this while they're cutting your head off. There's a story where one Spanish general came riding up on a battlefield after the Muslims had done their work. And it was around dusk, and he didn't understand what these three piles were. He couldn't see too clear till he got close. These three giant mounds, they were decapitated heads. And the amount of blonde Spanish women that the sultans took and installed in their harems, that's harem in English, that the Spanish race lost most of their blonde women. So when I used to watch I Dream of Jeannie, I used to laugh. There were no blonde genies. They were Middle Eastern. Boy, was I wrong. As a matter of fact, you would have seen in those days, 1500s, 1400s, the harems of these sultans completely populated with beautiful blonde women, and a lot of them from Spain. But we don't get taught that either. We get taught to go along and get along because we're all the same. No, we're not. We're not the same. And if you think you're the same and you're one of these alleged white folks, let me take you down to 3rd and 125th at 1 in the morning and leave you there. Find out how much you're the same. Because you know what? I've had black people tell me they don't want to go there after midnight. And I won't use the words that one of my black friends said to me, but he described those people in the most pejorative language that even I don't use. But see, we can't face that music, right? So we're going to keep going down this road. The Liz Cheney, Georgie Bush, Obama, dirty Joe Biden road to hell. The king has no clothes. And in the old days, people just told the king his new robe was beautiful when he was buck naked. You know what they do now? They don't even they won't even admit they see the king. So forget about alluding to whether or not he's naked. Today, people just go, I don't see no king. You don't see the big fat guy standing there naked with no clothes on? No, I don't see nobody. That's today's champion American hero. Hey there, I don't see nothing. What do you think the FBI? If you say something, say something. Hey, listen, Clancy, call me McCabe, and the rest of you altar boys. If I see something, I'm going to go have a corned beef. Have a nice day.